like all the flat earthers had to argue with themselves. Is this really real?
Space to present information that
You can walk away.
I can, but I also allowed in public space, and I'm also allowed to challenge this information.
But I reserved this room. So here are the rest
It
of...
shouldn't be in a public space.
Yeah, why don't you
Oh, well, wait a minute. The drag queen was just sitting right here. And you saying this is worse than the drag queen? So
Yes.
stop.
Yes, because this is misinformation.
Okay, yeah.
I respect
So-
that you have a point of view, but I'm also going to challenge your point of view.
Okay, well, not on my time.
If you can't,
So-
you can't challenge my
Do that at the end, that's great, but let's get through
Yeah.
the presentation.
Yeah, they want to go. So here we have no rotation detected. We were just talking about this. And here with the spinning ball, we also have centrifugal force. And if something's spinning 1,000 miles an hour, you'd think that we'd weigh less at the equator. We're not weighing less at the equator. So how come that's not like even in the consideration here? We should be really heavy up here at the pole because there's no centrifugal force up there. But you know, that's not a consideration. So some globe guy told me, oh, well, yeah, you weigh like 0.1% less at the equator. I'm there, don't give me your baloney. I mean, this is ridiculous. 1,000 miles an hour to nothing. Everybody my age, we always had these roundy rounds on the playground. And all the bad boys like the girls to get on there, and they'd spin them real fast and all the girls would fly off. That's not going 1,000 miles an hour. There's no difference. Is gravity selective? No. There's no spinning ball. That's what I'm saying. So I'll just go right down here. Oh, and you'll notice these things have numbers on them. These numbers all correspond with the video that's on this card here. It's the 200 proofs. This website where it says begin are my 3 favorite videos. And the 200 proofs, you'll see that the numbers correspond with what's on there. So that's a good, and I added a few more things in. If they don't have a number, I added them in. So here is all these books. You might want to take a really close-up picture of this and go look up some of these books. I have 3 or 4 of them myself. And these are all being censored in the schools. They don't want you to read any of these books. They're all scientists and doctors like Dr. Robotham, who did the Bedford Level experiment, and he proved that there was no curvature over 6 miles of canal over in England. And this is what we, do I want to get into this right now? Yeah. Let me do the seasons first, and then I'll get into NASA. Okay. Here we have North Pole in the center, Antarctica all the way around the outside. Then we have these lines here. And these lines are the tropics. Tropic of Capricorn, equator, Tropic of Cancer. Now, right now, it's our winter. So the sun is in Capricorn. On December 21st, it was, for 3 days, it stays in the Tropic of Capricorn and in Cancer. So it was down here. And it goes around like this. Okay? Then it moves, after 3 days, it'll move in to the equator. And then it goes around the equator. And that comes in March 21st, September 21st. Those two, the spring equinox, fall equinox. It's called equinox because there's equal amounts of day and night, light and darkness. Then it comes into Cancer. And then that's our summertime. And when it's in the summertime for 3 days, up here's the Arctic Circle. Within the Arctic Circle, that light will extend to the other side of the Arctic Circle. That's how they figured that out. So you will get 24 hours of daylight up here. So you're saying, well, why? How can that be? Because this is so much smaller than this, and the lines get bigger. Well, guess what happens? The sun, it's like it's on a tether. And the tether gets longer. And in order to get around there 24 hours, it has to move faster. The sun moves faster in Capricorn than it does in Cancer. It goes out here, it's faster, really fast out here, and then it comes in here and it gets slower. And that's called the analemma. And with the globe, the heliocentric model, it'll show you it's like the infinity sign, only it's smaller on the top and it's bigger on the bottom. And that's the analemma.
kind of similar to how the moon goes slower than the sun in speed. in rotation.
We have a guy who's tracking the moon. He says it crosses the equator 26 times a year. Does that blow your mind? I mean,
Yeah.
really, could that be true? I mean, I'm so interested in that to find that out if it's true.
I have a question about how you explain
Mind block. Are you over 50? Eclipses. Okay. The eclipses, I'm going to give you some clues about that because I don't have the 100% answer. I know it's not the Earth getting in between the sun and the moon. I know that. Okay. But there are thoughts of other heavenly bodies. In ancient documents, we have Rahu and Ketu. Those are other heavenly bodies, which are translucent somewhat, that you really can't see them like if you look at a telescope, but they're like there. And so they could occlude the sun, they could occlude the moon. But we don't have 100% on that. I remember the wasn't this last fall, it was the year before the eclipse. Was it 17? Yeah, 17, August of 17. Yeah, so you look down on the floor and you see all these little circles. Did you all see that by any chance? Yeah, you don't have to be afraid of the sun. But there was all these things like shadows on the floor. I'm like, wow, what is that? I mean, on the ground. So there's a lot of stuff we don't know, and we're not being told the truth. You have to know the government does not tell us half the stuff they know. They know all this stuff, and they are keeping that knowledge because knowledge is power. And they want to have that power to control over us. And in order to do that, they have to not tell us or lie. And they don't care what they do. So,
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How does that control us, withholding that information?
Well, if this is a created realm and it wasn't just like Big Bang random stuff, then we're all equal. And they are also equal with us because we're all here together. So it's not like they have any kind of power or right to have a power, The kings of old said they had a divine right. Okay? They don't. They don't have a divine right over us. Our original Constitution, which we don't have anymore because it turned into a corporation in 1781. 1871? I get those mixed up. But it's a corporation now. And they changed one word, for or of. Of the people or for the people. I'm not sure which one it is either. So anyway, but you have to look into that. So
So are you...
the kings did not want the serfs to read.
Okay, so you're saying that our elected officials believe they have a divine right over...
Yeah. And they have all these secret clubs. Freemasonry, they have secret clubs, they have the Bilderbergs, they have all those kinds of things, and they don't tell us what they do because we're not part of it. George Carlin said, they're all in a big club and you're not in it. Yeah, well, that's true, we're not. That's a whole different subject. I could get into that with you, but that's not what I'm here for today. But the kings didn't want the serfs to read. Why? Do you know why?
Because then they would have knowledge to revolt.
Educated people are hard to control.
Correct.
Okay, this is why I wrote this on this card. Does everybody have one of these? It says, you're welcome. It says, what's the difference between being educated with lies or being uneducated? No difference. We still know nothing. But if we knew the truth, then we would have real power. And they would not be able to control us. And they would be held accountable for what they're doing to us with all this other stuff that I'm not going to get into.
So do you believe that elections are not votes of the people?
Presidents are selected, not elected.
Okay, well, what about your local?
It's not who votes that makes the president, it's who counts the votes. Can we not go on the subject now?
Well, I mean, it plays into your presentation about power and equality.
Okay.
So I'm just
All right.
curious about that.
All right, good. So back to the sun movement. And It does move faster, and February 6th, which is 3 or 4 days from now, we're going to be doing another experiment with Australia. And look, Australia is much longer here on the flat Earth map, isn't it? We're still going to try and figure that one out. I'm so excited to get these Australian people in there. So now I'm going to go on to NASA, touch a little bit on NASA. This is what you get on the NASA website. And here we have the United States, very large, and here it's very small in comparison. But the diameter is the same. So relatively speaking, that can't happen. So this one guy, I just had an interview with a math guy. He came to my meetup that I had in Quakertown, and he said, oh, well, you know, we can just have a conversation. So I recorded it all. It's all on my channel. And he said, well, yeah, they got real close up here, and they took that picture, and then they went really far back, and then just zoomed in to make it the same diameter. Okay, so you're saying that they deceived us on purpose.
Well, that's based on focal length of the lens that they use.
I know what he's doing. I know what he's saying. You don't have to explain that to me. What I'm saying is,
Well,
it's
I
the
wanna make
same.
sure that they're aware
It's the
of that.
same diameter. So they had to deceive us to do this.
Well, I mean, again,
It's not reality. It's not true.
Well, then you're
They're
saying
still
no,
doing it.
Then what you're saying is no photograph is real because focal length affects
They
the shape
didn't.
of.
Did you look at the NASA website?
I've been on the NASA website before, yeah.
Okay. So did they say under there that this was taken at a distance of and zoomed in?
I don't know.
No, they're disingenuous, okay, at best. So, when you see the ISS, which is the International Space Station, they're either floating from the Vomit Comet, or they have harnesses and wires, and we have lots of videos of that where you can see the harness. And the hair. Do you ever see the ISS with their hair sticking straight up? I mean, that is just ridiculous. Go and look on some ISS Vomit Comet videos of these models who are doing like these floating shots. Their hair is flowing. It's not sticking straight up. And yet, when they're on the ISS, it's ding, straight up. So they are fooling us on purpose. They're lying to us. Now, when they're outside doing a spacewalk, they're in the desalination pool here, and we see bubbles in space. There's people who are looking at these videos, very scrutinizing NASA website videos, and they find little air bubbles going up the helmet. So it's ridiculous. Why would they spend $52 million a day? And that's what they get. So you think we could not pay our taxes and get rid of NASA? I'm all for that idea. So here's some of these experiments that go along with these books. Here is Aries failure, Michelson-Morley experiment with an interferometer, which proves that the Earth is not spinning. And this is the scientific method. You have to be able to repeat it, observe it, and it can't be I have these online discussions with these guys. I'm part of a science group, and they're all they all have degrees, and they're all doing NASA stuff, and we agreed that we would just be neutral ground, and we could ask questions, right? They're so emotional. I worked all my whole life. I'm doing all these things. I build satellites. I'm there. Okay, so prove this to me without emotion. Science is not emotional. Why do you have to be emotional? It's not an emotional thing. Either you have the evidence or you don't. Put up or shut up. I mean, really. So, where are we now? Gravity. I love gravity because it doesn't exist. So, I'll tell you what I agree with. Do I have something here? Yeah, here, I'll take a crayon. Things fall. Yes, things fall. Of course they do. But what is it? What is making this thing fall? Is it being pulled to the center of a spinning ball? Or is it something else? Is the force something else? Now, our flat Earth community, a lot of our activists who are like me, that we go out and teach, they say density and buoyancy. And I'm there, well, no, that can't be density and buoyancy. Those are just properties within the force. Okay, there has to be something that defines down. Okay, so why isn't it over there? Why isn't it there? I mean, it defines down. And density and buoyancy are just acting within that force because of things that are making them buoyant, like water. Okay, so you have water and you have a ship, and there's a reason why it floats, but it's still going to be on the water. Okay, it's not going to float around. So I had to think of something else. Well, what could it possibly be? So I was watching these videos on diamagnetism and about torus fields. And I'm there, okay, so it's electromagnetic. And so a torus field, I don't know if I brought it with me. Let me see here if it's in my bag. Let me see if I have that thing or not. I might not. I have a spiral. No, I probably don't have it. It's probably in the car. But anyway, I have this spiral thing. Like a spirograph. Do you ever see one of those slinkies? A slinky and then match the two ends together. That's what it's like, okay? The electromagnetism, and it comes out on a little bit of an angle. And so it kind of spirals around like a donut, okay? And so the electromagnetic forces go around like this and then come up through the North Pole. And that's why you get aurora borealis. The lower atmos has the elements in it. So this electricity is going to excite those elements, and you've got neon lights. That's what it is. Neon, boron, all those other gases that are up there, and the different colors are just the different elements, okay? So then it comes up and around, and it hits the dome, and it goes through the sun, which is a filament, like a light bulb. And I think it's, for lack of any other understanding, I'm going to say it's positively charged. Then it goes through the moon, which is negatively charged. So then it's like anode diode thing. And then it goes around down at Antarctica, and it just goes around and around and around and around and around. And that's our universe. That's our world. And they have, we do have levitation. There's a guy named...
Is there any green lights in Antarctica? I'm not sure. I think there is.
I don't think so.
You don't think there is?
I don't think so.
Is it?
I don't think that's... I don't really know 100%. I don't know. Okay.
You started off on talking about some sort of force that was pulling us down.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah.
I just wanted
Right
to
here.
back to that.
Diamagnetism. That's what I think it is. There's a guy who did with his hamsters on a mobile, and he was like, had the magnet up to his hamsters, and they were like repelled by this magnetic force. That's diamagnetism, okay. So maybe it's diamagnetism that's holding us down. Instead of pulling us down, it's pushing us down.
Get it?
Okay? So the electricity is free flowing up here. Now, did you know there's free flowing electricity up there? Why don't we have free electricity? Why aren't we getting that? Because they have the knowledge. They are not giving us that knowledge. Now, all those, we are looking into something called mud floods, which is bringing out all of these ancient structures that were the cathedrals that have these really high spires on them. Oh, they must be lightning rods. Well, guess what? We're finding out they have a different use, a different purpose. They are energy collectors. And those old cathedrals were really like healing centers. Did you know our bodies respond to vibration and frequency? So these old cathedrals that were collecting this energy and all had these huge, enormous organs in them. Why did they call them organs? Maybe they had something to do with our organs. So these vibrations and this power, and you go into these sanctuaries, which is a protected place, right? And you get healed. And they turned them into churches and just stuck a cross up the top. And now we know. Now we think it's something different. We think that all these little cavemen built these enormous structures. How did they get the stones up there without a crane? I'm thinking, how did it, now you start to look up mud floods. Flat Earth British, he has done the most work. He's got like 20,000 subscribers. And he is really breaking ground on this. And we're finding out that maybe our civilization is not that old. Did you ever hear of some place called Tartaria? That was the previous civilization. Land. Well, part of it could have sunk. Now, I'm going to mention an ancient document, so don't take offense at this, but the Bible did say that when the fountains of the deep broke open, now this is my theory, fountains of the deep broke open, and I think there was an inner dome, which increased the air pressure and the oxygen levels because everything grew better, and it was like a fiber optic, and I don't expect you to remember all this, and you won't get it anywhere. So it's what? I know, but it's so connected, but all right. But anyway, I think that broke, and that's why we have less air pressure, and we're sicker, and we don't get as much oxygen. Did you know oxygen is very healing?
Is that why is also to say that plants are smaller, where they used to be huge tropical?
Everything used to be huger.
Huge tropical.
Why do you have those huge doors? Because people were taller, 25 feet tall. So, yeah, and I was in an oxygen chamber, hyperbaric oxygen. You know, when you come up really fast from deep, you get the bends. How come oxygen under pressure cures that? It's a cure. This is what we've got. We've got too much and not enough oxygen. So there's hyperbaric chambers out there, but it's not covered by insurance. Isn't that interesting? Pharmaceuticals have this place really sealed up. They've paid off enough people. So, barometric. Yeah, well, okay. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy, HBOT. If you look that up on YouTube, you will get a lot about that. Know anybody with a stroke? The oxygen gets into the plasma instead of the red blood cells, and it can go any place that red blood cells are too big to go. It will cure a stroke. It will cure near drowning victims because it would get the oxygen back into the brain that has been shut off. It's not dead. Your brain is not dead. It's just not working because there's no oxygen up in there. And you know anybody like that, please tell them about hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So, yes. Oh, Ed Leeds-Scallion. Look up the Coral Castle in Florida. He was just a little guy. What was he? Not Polish or something. Lithuanian maybe. And he built the Coral Castle. He lifted 20-ton blocks of coral by himself. How did he do that? He knew the secret. He what? Ate his Wheaties. He knew the secret. He had this little anti-gravity device, and that's how he did it. And he did it at night so people wouldn't see it. That balloon, okay. Woo-hoo. So this is what we have. These are the secrets of the ages. These are secrets they're not telling us anymore. They don't want us to know this information, or we would have power. We would have knowledge, it would have power. That's where that all came from. So, no, there is no Coriolis effect. It depends on who builds the toilets, and, really. It's how the water, they even have a video on that about being at the equator. They'll fill up the equator, it goes straight down, okay. Then they move over here 10 feet. Oh, now it goes this way. And then they come over here, move 20 feet over here. Then, now it goes this way. That's all baloney. They're fooling you. And then people pay them money. Come on. No, it's not. There is no Coriolis effect. All right. I guess I'm open now to questions, like discussion questions, but let's keep it like, just a couple minutes. Okay.
The sun movement.
Okay.
You said it's like on a tether. How is it? And is it accelerating? So if you go on, trace it again.
Okay, so it goes this way. East to west. And that's something East and west are this way and this way. And this is east and this is west. This is north and this is south. Let me show you the compass. When you're in Australia, how does it point to the North Pole? It would have to go through the globe, right? You're in Australia down here, and here's the North Pole. How does that compass work? How does the compass work? Does it go through the Earth? Does it just go around the Earth? How does the compass work in Australia? It points to the North Pole. They're all the same. So,
Not a south magnetic.
no, it doesn't.
If it's in South Pole, it actually will just spin around. It won't point north.
Have you? Is this what you're told? Are you experiencing this or what?
I mean, I haven't flown over the South Pole. But
Nobody has. Nobody has.
okay, I mean,
Somebody I dated once told me that he flew over the South Pole. I said, "See you later."
We're not gonna get along.
I know he was in the military. I liked him, but bye bye. So, I don't know if he's being sent to derail me or not. I don't know that.
so what is it? Holy, sorry. Wow. Is it like an oblong path? Or
No, it's going around this way
in a
and
flat circle.
just in a circle, and then it moves down to this one. And I think the dome.
It's concentric circle, so it moves out further and then comes back in.
Yeah, it goes around and then it gets a bigger, wider, like it's on a string and the string just gets longer. You're swinging it around and the string is just getting longer and then shorter. That's how it's going around. But I also
What
think,
changes its direction? I mean, it's going to say, but what changes that angle back and forth?
What lengthens and shortens that string?
It's on a predestined path, right?
the creator.
Nah.
I'm not God. No, I'm not God. That's the same thing as me saying what makes us spin around the earth in the heliocentric model. I mean, nobody has that answer.
Well,
Maybe somebody does, but not me.
That's gravity.
We've got to figure that out. Gravity?
Is this disc spinning? That
This is solid, stationary, because this proves it.
Okay.
It's going around. It's going around. And when it gets down to the southern regions, which is below the equator or outside of the equator, we think that the sun is lower in the sky because the dome is shaped like this. So when it gets out to the outer edges, it's lower. If you look on YouTube, quantum physics, if you have a super chilled disk, it is magnetic. Meissner effect. It is magnetic. And if you have it, you have a clear glass plate, and they have a metal track. You can even tilt that disc, push it, and it'll zing, 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 unimpeded. If you put something in its path, it'll go boop. You only see one face of the moon, no matter where. It goes like this. It does not go like this. It does not spin. It just goes like this. Now, those in the outer regions will look at the chin side, and we up here look at the eye side. But it's one face of the moon looking.
It's also a disc.
I see one side. That's all I see.
What are the and the stars are within the firmament?
Yes, because they are fixed to each other. They are in their fixed relative positions. They do not move relative to each other. They do move seasonally, like I demonstrated with the, and that Big Dipper, I want you to take notice. The Big Dipper, when it's in, if you see all the 4 seasons of the Big Dipper, it looks like a swastika. Did you hear what I said? It looks like a swastika. Okay, now if you look and study the swastika in history, it has had many different uses. And they've all been like spiritual kind of uses. So that kind of makes you question, why would the Nazis use it? So, well, I would look into that too.
But the star trails, that spinning open, sure.
Your camera aperture open, which we don't do anymore, but go ahead.
Why are we getting them spinning like that? The stars are spinning within the firmament?
Your camera is pointing straight up and it's just open. That's a time lapse.
Yeah, I understand how to take pictures.
It's like an upside down salad bowl and it just turns.
Oh. Wait, what turns?
The dome.
The dome, the firmament.
firmament.
And the stars are within it.
Stars are embedded in the glass. They're embedded. They're like permanently embedded. They don't move. Stars are embedded. Now, I don't know what you consider a star to be. It's just a point of light. Look up a video called Star in a Jar. If you point sound waves at a jar of fluid, I don't really remember what the fluid was, but if you point these sound waves at this fluid, you will get a glowing light in the middle of it. Star in a jar, no kidding, it actually works. There's a lot to be learned about sound waves, and that's why you have to be very wary of this 5G stuff that's coming out. Dangerous stuff.
How do you answer the twinkle within the firmament?
Because within the firmament, there's fluid,
Okay.
and it moves. It looks like a light in a swimming pool.
Okay.
The waves, it like, we have a lot of that footage on there. People with the P1000, they're zooming in on these stars, and they're all like, they look like a swimming pool.
It's all different colors.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they're different colors, but they're all like, they're like moving,
They're
like
dancing.
within themselves, you know?
Can I ask Ed a question?
Yeah.
I've only flown a couple times, and you have way more miles than me, but have you ever noticed that the coloration of the sky and the water below you is relatively the same?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you haven't really paid attention.
Yeah, but why is that? Some say it's a reflection. Some say the dome is made of a sapphire type material. So I'm not sure. I don't know exactly. It would be interesting to study that and find out.
Astronomy then. What do you make of astronomy?
Astronomy?
The whole
A
science.
meteorite.
This meteorites, I think the government is doing a lot of stuff to fool us. That's what I really think. If I can't figure it out, I don't think there's a Halley's Comet. I think they just are all in the same.
Astronomy's not government. What is your take on it? Do you not believe
Astronomy is not government?
No. it's
Where do they get
science.
their funding?
Some don't have any.
Okay. There was a girl out on the sidewalk, and she said to me, "Oh, I looked through the telescope down at community college." I said, "Okay. How do you know how far that thing can see? How do you know?" "Oh, well, it says it right there." I'm there. Okay, so you trust that person who put the label on that telescope. And I'm telling you that when we have a P1000 and we zoom in, we see something different than that telescope sees. I think that they're lying to us about the telescopes. Guess who's got the biggest binocular telescope? Guess who owns that? The Vatican. Guess what they named it? Lucifer.
Lucifer, yes, I knew that.
So what is that all about?
Yeah.
There are 3 city-states in the whole world. There's the Vatican. They have their own laws. It's like a city-state. And then there's London, which is within London City. And there's Washington, D.C. We have the religious, financial, and we are the military. So just think about those things. Study them. I mean, figure it out yourself. I mean,
What about physics?
there are some things in physics which need to be questioned. Yeah. I'm not going to say specifically, but I think the speed of light is something that needs to severely be questioned.
That's very interesting. But what about an orbit? Just the physical attributes of an orbit.
Orbit?
An orbit
Orbit of what?
of a satellite around a globe.
Oh,
No.
did you hear nothing I said?
There's no satellites.
GPS is ground positioning system. It's not global, it's ground. Okay, there are no satellites. We have videos. In Brazil, a satellite landed. The balloon was still attached. They put those things up there. They take a few pictures and say, "Look, we got this from our satellite." And there, it crashed. And okay, we got it for the satellite.
What am I seeing when I see satellites in the sky?
You see satellites?
Sure.
Yeah. What do you see?
Light come across.
You see a light going across. Could be a high-flying YouTube plane. And they put it on the website. "Hey, boys, let's go out flying tonight. We'll put on there that the satellite's going by, and we'll just go, we'll fool the world, and we'll feel powerful."
They're pretty much decommissioned, but you can see the space station. And
You
see-
can believe that they're decommissioned, just like the Concorde was decommissioned, just like the, what was those, the airships, Hindenburg was decommissioned, but now we've got these silent flying directed energy weapons, what is that about? I mean,
What do I see when I see the space station?
space station.
No, but like when you
When you go, you look at it and you see it. I think it's a U-2 plane. That's what I
You
think.
can see the space station where, like, with
Really?
binoculars, you can see the outline.
They have holograms. They could affix those things to the wings. They could do a lot of stuff.
Is there any?
When you're devious and demonic, you can do a lot of stuff to fool the people, and you just tell them what you want and then show them something else. And then they'll believe it. Like, why wouldn't we believe it? We're honest. We're told that we go to church. We fear God. We tell the truth. So why would we think somebody else would lie to us? That's another thing. I mean, I never thought that there was evil in the world because I was raised to be a God-fearing girl. I mean, so why would I think anybody would want me harm? I wouldn't want harm to anybody else. So we go around being dumb, and I'm there, what? How could this be? Yes, go ahead.
I have a comment.
Okay.
And I would like to get it all out.
How long will it take?
Just 2 minutes. I want to go back to the scientific method. We talked about consistent, observable, testable, repeatable, predictable.
Okay.
The scientific method is you observe, you propose a theory, and then you do experiments to then see if that theory, that hypothesis that you've proposed, is valid or not. And then based off of the results of the experiment, you adjust your hypothesis or your
It's
point of view.
always being tested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that it feels very much to me like you have come up with or you are from the point of view of you have a hypothesis and you are shaping all of the evidence to fit your hypothesis as opposed to reacting to evidence that is shown to you.
Oh, really? Where'd you get that?
Opposed to your hypothesis.
Yeah, I mean, like you talked about holograms in the
That's
sky.
it. They exist, so it could be that. I don't know. I'm not saying that that's actually factual what it is. I'm just saying that could be that.
I feel like any piece of evidence that's proposed to you, there's an easy answer that you give in response to it, but then when that answer is challenged, you won't listen to it. And I think that the issue here is that there is observable science that can be performed at home, that you can use communication with people on the other side of the world to observe where the sun is, where all that kind of stuff that I feel like you don't want to acknowledge because it would disprove.
And I feel exactly the same way about you.
But I was going to ask you, is there anything that might change your mind about it? I mean,
Well, I was raised on the globe model. I grew up believing this. So it was only 3 years ago that I saw the evidence. And I can see a whole lot farther than I'm supposed to see. I have never found the curve. I keep looking for it. You go to Jim Thorpe on top of the mountain, and you can see all the way to Indiantown Gap. That's 60 miles away. And there's something wrong with that picture.
Marilyn, I was
But-
going to say, we could test these hypotheses, and they won't hold up.
No,
But
I don't think you have any evidence for a
Yes,
globe.
I do, but like you said earlier, you seem to not believe anything unless you actually do it yourself.
Right.
So you're not going to go open a rocket. I'm not either.
No, because it will never come back. They will just explode it and say it was the Challenger. Oh, but that's all right, because they're still all alive.
But
You know that?
if we do these things, and we have, as far as I can tell.
No,
like, if can't do these
you are trusting a scientific
Exactly.
community.
Yes, because we have nothing else.
You have nothing else?
I can't do
You have your own eyes?
You can't do it yourself. You can't do
You know what happens?
So you have to rely on.
You refuse to study perspective. You refuse to look at evidence. That's what this is about.
The railroad analogy, railroad tracks, disprove your sun rays.
I'm sorry?
The railroad tracks compared to the sun rays.
Com-
Okay,
Okay, the railroad tracks compared to the sunrise.
the one over here on the left.
Here?
Number
The
3
sun
on.
rays, the sun rays.
Oh, the crepuscular rays.
So the sun was like
Yeah, but
6 miles
I said, were you here when I said if it's around and it's not in an elongated circle, that reflection on the water, that it's directly below it?
These angles, right? They're very similar to that railroad track. Perspective.
Yeah, but if they go outward, See, you have to look at the water underneath these crepuscular rays
Well, okay,
to
but-
see which way it's going. If the elongation is towards you, then it could be farther away. But if they're sideways, you have to study it. That's what I'm saying. It took me 3 freaking weeks to study perspective. You can't just say, oh, well, it's not that, and not know anything about it. You got to study it. Study. Like exam. Like final exam. Like doctorate, study it. I did not treat any of this lightly. You think I want to go out on the boardwalk and have people laugh at me? I'm not into that. I'm not into S&M. That's not me.
About the method here, because I don't really see proper testing of this kind of stuff.
This isn't about testing. This is about evidence. You go test it. You test it. You test it yourself. You decide for yourself. This is only, I'm showing you what the evidence is. If you see this, then that water is flat. See? It's not about me trying to convince you. I can't. I won't. I won't even try. I'm not going to convince you. Only your own self-testing and your own challenging of your own self-worth.
I will be the expert at this.
That's you thing. You can get your own banners and go over there and teach something else.
No, I'm saying.
I'm saying.
If I really look into this, what source should I use to confirm it?
All sources.
Ed,
You have to compare.
Ed, the way I did it, I didn't do it this route. The way I did it was I was examining what they told me the Earth was. Can I borrow your Earth? No, your Earth.
Oh, my earth.
My legs falling asleep.
Oh, okay.
So things that should logically make sense to me, right? So if the sun was way over there, 90 degrees well, I'll listen to what they said. All right, 90 degrees miles away. Perspectively, if this is the size of the Earth, and let's say the sun is that doorknob, right? If the Earth is over here, and I'll agree with what they said. If it's spinning 1,000 miles, I'll give it to them. There's certain things that should be happening on this Earth that do nothing. To me, I know that's what they said, and I can only go by my perspective. She's trying to say that she's not trying to convince you because you can believe in God, but you cannot believe in God. That's not I'm going to tell you that go out into the world, and the only thing you really can trust is your senses.
Okay, but can
Right.
this be wrong?
Can your senses be wrong? Certainly. Somebody has to be wrong, right? So somebody's senses at the time has to be wrong. The thing she's trying to say is, where do we get these senses? Where do we get the idea that we see curvature more on a plane? Because I got that.